Hey, Algebra 2 kids, this is Dr. Callahan with week 6 Thursday for Algebra 2 semester 2. This is your warm-up, so go ahead and pause the video and answer the following questions. Hold on. Okay, so anyways, the reason why I want to show you guys that is, in a short few years, you're going to kind of figure out what it is that you're going to be doing with this. And so just to summarize what they talked about, first one is scholarship. That one is free, obviously, but you also have to have the right GPA. So you have to do well academically, you have to take a bunch of AP classes. You might be really talented in sports. Maybe you're a really good violinist and you have to do extracurricular activities. So those are merit-based money that's free in the form of scholarship, but you have to have some talent and to be a really good student. The second one that's free is called grants. Okay. So grants, you can qualify if you don't have to be a great student, you can't be like straight up, but you have to graduate high school, is based on ethnicity. There is more free grants out there for students to go to school if you are Native American, African American, and Hispanics. So I am Asian, but unfortunately I wasn't like the preferred minority. So I knew that going to school, the only way I can go to school with free money is through scholarships. Another one is also based on your parent income. So if you're from a single parent home, or if you're like the first person in your family to go to college, if you have a lot of brothers and siblings that your parents have to support, this is where grants comes in. And you want to fill out the FAFSA in January of next year if you're going to be a senior that year, to find your eligibility. Now, the last one that you guys have that's not free is loans. And you gotta be very careful with that because that money you have to pay back. And so there's two different types of loans, Stafford and unstafford. Stafford is you get the loan, but they charge you interest, but the government is gonna pay for that interest while you're in school full-time, okay? Unstafford, it doesn't matter if you're school full-time, part-time, whatever. The minute you take out the loan, they start charging you interest. And that can be between 2 to 5%, depending on your credit score. I know you're like, your credit score, I'm just 18. I mean, that's true. You're now 18, you're now legal. And so everything you do from now on, it can affect you negatively with your student loans. So those are the 3 different ways of paying for college. So something for you guys to think about as you guys move into the next level of your education. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and move on. So this is week 6. We are still talking about multiplying, dividing rational functions. You guys yesterday had your assessment. So your week 6 Wednesday assessment, your quiz. Make sure you guys turn that in by Sunday, 11 p.m. You also have your homework on there as well. Yesterday, I had you guys take a look at your grade check because I update your grade every single Wednesday. So you know exactly kind of where you are. Your class average is like around a 67%, which is a little bit lower than I would like. I personally like a 75%. So, but I'm okay with it. So yeah, if you're not currently passing and you need some assistance, please come see me after school. These are the different ways that you can do to raise your grade. Do your Math Excel homework and your quiz. It's really just like 10 questions for your homework and 5 to 10 questions on your quiz. So it's like just 20 questions a week. I don't give you guys tests in class because your quiz is what you're being assessed on. And then also attend regularly and come see me for after school tutoring. It's a quick little conversation about what you can do to raise your grade. The biggest one is that your QR code for this class, okay, which you guys have. If you don't have it, let me know and I'll be more than happy to give you guys another one. So this one takes you to the class website with all the videos. There are 24 videos since we started class, and we are now down to week 6 Wednesday, which was yesterday. So I video record these things and I upload them every single day. So that way it's as if you're not missing any classes. Your warm-up is due on week 9 Friday. This is week 6 Thursday. So in 2 weeks and 1 day, your warm-up log is due. So as you look at your boxes, if you have a bunch of blank boxes, you need to make sure you go onto this website and pause the beginning of the video so you can get your warm-ups done, okay? All right, so then with that said, I'm just gonna continue on. So this week for your Math Excel, you guys have week 6, multiplying, dividing rational expressions for your homework. Week 6, Wednesday, your quiz on rational functions, vertical asymptote, horizontal asymptote, and simplifying. So those are the 2 assignments on your Math Excel that is due on Sunday by 11 p.m. So make sure you guys are accessing that. If you're having difficulty with access for that, just come see me after school. I'll help you sign in. All right, so today we are on, I know it says adding and subtracting rational expressions, but we're not quite there yet. So we're still gonna be on multiplying, dividing rational expression. We'll start that on Friday, just so you know. Okay, so in case you're curious, like what did we do last class because you were absent? We went ahead on Tuesday, and started with multiplying and dividing rational functions. Today will be day 2 of that. Does anybody need a copy of this from Tuesday? Does anybody need a copy? If you do, just raise your hand. I'll be more than happy to give it to you. So then today, we're gonna go ahead and get started on Thursday stuff. You need a handout, you need a color paper, and then highlighters. So come on up. Your handout is right here in white, your color paper is in blue, and then here's a bag of highlighters. Just come on up and grab those 3 items, and then we'll get started. But no calculators, because we don't need it. All right, you guys, so we're gonna go ahead and get started on this page right here. We're gonna go over 6 different questions on the left side, and then I'm gonna have you guys practice with the right side on your own. So let's just get started right here, okay? This is day 2 of multiplying and dividing rational expressions. And so we'll start off with the first 2 questions right over here. Okay, so if you take a look at question number 1, first thing you should notice is that it's like a fraction, literally on top of a fraction. Do you guys see that? You see the division right there in yellow, but then do you see the division bar right there in green? Okay, so it's like a fraction on top of a fraction. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and simplify this. And to simplify this, I would need to factor it. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to take this piece right here, and I'm just going to put parentheses with a division bar and then parentheses, okay? So let's go ahead and factor this. What times what gives me a negative 12, but when I add it together, gives me a negative 1. So what 2 numbers will work out for that? And if you're like, I don't remember how to do that, your last number is always here, your middle number is always there. And so what 2 numbers, the multiply gives me a negative 12. If you think about negative 1 and 12, 1 and negative 12, negative 2 and 6, 2 and negative 6, negative 3 and 4, 3 and negative 4, okay? You don't have to write it down like that. At this point, you should be able to kind of see this in your head a little bit. If you can't see that in your head, you're gonna have to spend a little bit of time writing it down, which is totally fine as well. Thank you very much. And then you need to grab 1, 2, and 3. So highlighter, paper, and then the white paper. So the only one that works for me right now is this one right there, 3 and negative 4. Because 3 times negative 4 is a negative 1 or negative 12. When I go ahead and add it together, it gives me a negative 1. So x plus 3, x minus 4. That's my first one. Then I'm going to take a look at my bottom, my denominator right here, okay? So what times what gives me a 15? And then when I add it together, it gives me an 8. And they're all positive numbers, so it's going to be positive. So think about it. What times what gives me 15? I know 1 times 15 is 15, but that's going to give me 16 when I add it. 3 and 5 gives me 15. Does 3 plus 5 give me 8? Yes, it does. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here with the denominator. So the numerator is done. I'm done with the numerator. Denominator. Denominator, I'm going to put parenthesis, 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 parenthesis. I know you're like, well, shouldn't we bring it down? I'm not bringing it down yet because I'm going to save some space and time. So I'm going to put it right there. I think the denominator will be easier to do, like this one here, because there's no number in front besides a 1. So x and x. So you're going to ask yourself, what times what gives me a negative 5? But when I add it together, it gives me a 4. And there has to be a negative number in there. I'm thinking 5 and 1, but it's going to be with a positive 5 and a negative 1. Okay? Because think about 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. 5 minus 1 gives me a positive 4. It's like a little puzzle. That works. With this one here, the negative 3, this one has a coefficient bigger than just 1. So you're going to have to do a little bit of work. What you do is you take that negative 3, remember, and you multiply by that 15. Okay? And I'm going to create my table over here. 3 times, a negative 3 times 15 is a negative 45. Your middle number is a positive negative 12. So you got to ask yourself, what negative numbers multiplied together gives me a negative 45, but when I add it together, it gives me a negative 12. I can do a negative 1 and 45, 1 and negative 45, but immediately I'm like, okay, those numbers are way too big, you know, and that's not going to give me a 12. I could do a 9 and a 5, but that's not going to give me a 12. I could do a 3 and a 13, or I'm sorry, not 13, 15. But that is not going to give me a 12. Let's think, what other numbers multiply together will work with that? It is going to be a 3 and 15, obviously. So then I need a negative 12. So I'm going to have a negative 15 right there. Okay, because 3 minus 15 is a negative 12. So this is my winning number. But then remember, your temporary answer is x plus 3, x minus 15. And that's a temporary answer because you see how you multiply by negative 3 in the beginning? Now you got to divide it by negative 3. Okay, just to balance that out. And so my answer is going to be 3 divided by negative 3 is an x minus 1, right? Yeah. And then, or actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to move that negative 3 in front here. So negative 3x plus 3. And then negative 15 divided by negative 3 is an x plus 5. That works. Yeah. Okay. So this is division. So it's this divided by this. Okay. But remember I said you can't have division. You have to have multiplication. So then what happens here? You got to flip that. Okay. Flip it upside down. So x plus 5 goes on top. X minus 1 goes on top. But then you have a negative 3x plus 3 on the bottom and x plus 5 on the bottom. Now you're going to grab your highlighters and you're going to look at yourself and go, okay, what is the same number that matches top and bottom? I see a x plus 3, x plus 3. So I'm going to highlight those two because I'm going to cancel them. I'm also going to highlight x plus 5, x plus 5. That's going to cancel. Any other numbers that match. Some of them might be a little tricky because they're like hiding, okay? So in which case, do you see the negative 3x and the 3? If I factored out a negative 3 like that, what goes back in there? Wouldn't it be x minus 1? Do you guys see that? Because if you distribute it, it still gives you the same number. So then there's one more that you guys can cancel, which is x minus 1 and this x minus 1. But you're leaving that 3 there. The 3 is not canceled, okay? So then once I highlight everything, I'm just going to take my pencil and I'm going to cross them out. X plus 3, canceled. X minus 1, canceled. X plus 5, canceled. So then what's left? I have x minus 4 on top. On the bottom, negative 3, x plus 5. And that is your answer, you guys. So if you think about it, you went from this entire ugly thing and you made it into this, which is a lot simpler and more simplified. I'm going about 1, 2, and 3, those 3 things, and the highlighters. That's a little bit crazy, huh? Yeah, I agree. So I'm going to have you guys practice on the next one. So you guys give this one a try here. So just give it a try on your own. See where you end up with. if you're kind of looking at that and like, how do I start it? Take a look at where I ended up with, you guys. Take a look at the answer. See if that's something that you were like somewhat familiar with or similar to. All right, let's go on to number 3, you guys. Okay, so for number 3, this one's a multiplication. It's not a division, okay? And so you have 2 different fractions. Let's focus on the first fraction first. With the first fraction, I'm going to draw a little parentheses that I want to factor. But one thing I noticed with the first fraction is, do you see how there's 4 terms right there? So you're going to have a factor by grouping. Okay, and so what that means is that with your highlighters, and you can highlight it if you want, I'm going to group these 2 together, and I'm going to group these 2 together. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this. And if you look at this part right here, between the x cubed and the 2x squared, I could take out an x squared. So then what goes back inside the parenthesis? I will have an x and a minus 2. I'm going to do the same thing in the orange. So what can I take out between a -3 and a 6? I don't know about you, but I could probably take out a -3. So then you ask yourself, well, what goes back inside the parenthesis? It has to be an x minus 2. If you're like, are you sure? Well, multiply the -3 into the parenthesis. -3 times x is a -3x. -3 times -2 is a positive 6. Yeah, so that works. So then the next thing that you should realize is, do you guys see how inside the parenthesis, it's both x minus 2? They're exactly the same thing. So then what that means is you're just going to have x minus 2 grouped together, and then the x squared minus 3 grouped together. It's almost like you're factoring out x squared minus 3, like you're undistributing. And that black 2 parentheses, that's your answer for the top of the first fraction. I know you're like, all that work and that's where we got to. Yes, that's where we got to. All right, so now let's take a look at the denominator of the first fraction, okay? So with this one, 2 times 4 is going to give me an 8. Middle number is 9. They're all positive numbers. So the only one that I think that would work is 1 plus 8, right, is 9. 1 times 8 is, I'm sorry, 1 plus 8 is 9. 1 times 8 is 8. So your temporary answer is x plus 1, x plus 8. But then do you see how you multiply by that 2 right there? So you have it divided by 2, just to balance it out. 2 doesn't go into 1, so you're going to move it in the front. 2x plus 1 is what you have. But 2 does divide into 8, so x plus 4 is what you have. Okay, let's take a look at the second fraction because we're done with the first fraction. Second fraction, on top, 2 times -2. So I'm going to make my little table. That's going to be a -4. My middle number is a -3. And notice that these are negative numbers. So what times what gives me a -4, but when I add it together, it gives me a -3. I could probably do a -4 and a 1. That will work. So my temporary answer is x minus 4, x plus 1. But then remember how you divide or multiply by that 2? So you will have to multiply or divide it by the 2. -4 divided by 2 is x minus 2. 2 doesn't go into 1, so you just bring it up to the front. So that's a 2x plus 1. If you look at the denominator, it's a 3. If it would have been a 9, it would have been a perfect square. You can do x plus 3, x minus 3, but in this case, nothing can be done. So you just keep that as is. All right, because now we're going to do the fun part. So grab your highlighters. We're going to highlight what is the same top and bottom that we can cancel, okay? I can see there's an x squared minus 3. That's the same top and bottom. I can cancel that out. I also see a 2x plus 1. That's the same, top and bottom. I can cancel that out. I didn't have to flip it because this is not division. This is just multiplication. So there's no flipping. So then with your pencil, you can go ahead and just cross it out. X squared minus 3, 2x plus 1. And you're like, okay, what's left? I see a x minus 2 on the top, x plus 4 on the bottom. And that's your answer. Now that I did number 3, I'm going to have you guys try number 4. So give that a try. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at your work. Right there, your answer is x plus 3 over negative 6. I know that's a lot, but take a look to see where you are and see how you compare to what I have. And again, the entire purpose of the class is making sure that you're practicing with this so that way you're getting better at it. All right, you guys, let's go on to number 5 and 6, okay? I'll go ahead and do number 6. So if you take a look at number 6 right here, and this will be the last part that we're going to be working on. For number 6, you have a division, so just keep that in mind. So the first thing I'm going to do is the bottom, which is a lot easier because what times what gives me a -2, but when I add it together, it gives me a -1. I'm thinking about 2 and 1, but it has to be a -2 and a +1, okay? Then on the right side, x minus 2, there's nothing for you to do with that, so I'm just going to keep it as is. Then I'm going to tackle the beast, which is the one on top. So this one, you have to do 5 times that -1, which is a -5, and your middle number is 4. And luckily, those numbers not big, so I'm thinking it's 5 and 1 with a -1 and a +5. And that works. So x plus 5, x minus 1 is your temporary answer because that's not your complete answer. And because I multiply by 5 here, I will have to divide it by 5 right there. So when I divide it by 5, my answer on top is going to be a x plus 1, because 5 divided by 5 is 1. And then this 5 goes in the front of that, which is a 5x minus 1. All right, so then I think we're ready. Let's just do this then. So x plus 1, 5x minus 1 over x minus 2 times x plus 1. I'm going to change that multiplication or division to multiplication, but then remember, you got to flip the second fraction. So x minus 2 goes on top and 1 minus 5x goes on the bottom. So now let's go ahead and highlight, you guys. What's the same top and bottom? X plus 1. I see that. And x minus 2, same top and bottom. And then I look at that 5 and I'm like, they look very similar. You know what I mean? The only difference is that the signs are different. So this is a little bit tricky, but bear with me. If I take out a -1 right there, do you see how this is going to become a -1 plus 5x? Which is the same thing as saying it's a 5x minus 1. Do you guys see that? So then that means I can also include the 5x minus 1, but just leave that -1 on the outside. So everything that I just highlighted canceled out because they have one top and bottom. So then what's left? What's your answer? It's just 1 divided by -1, which is -1. And that is your answer. All right, so now that I did this one, I want you guys to give number 5 a try if you can, please. So give that a try. And again, if you are done with it, go ahead and take a look at my steps compared to your steps to see if it's somewhat similar. But what just happened? I don't even understand what's happening. Okay. All right, let's see. I seriously don't know why it's being magnified. That's really weird. So let me hold on a second. Let me figure it out. Okay, so sorry about that. This is your answer, and take a look at question number 5. And again, this is being recorded, so you can access everything that we just talked about today on the YouTube channel, just under week 6 Thursday. Okay, so that way, if you're like, okay, I didn't understand what she did with number 3, you can always go back and watch that part of the video. For the last 10 minutes of class, I would like you guys to grab your color paper. So if you take a look at the right side right here, I have like 18 different questions. You guys just go ahead and pick any 5 of your choice and just show your work on your color paper. I'm gonna turn in your color paper before you guys leave today. Okay, to just ensure that you practice. There's not a lot of space on this one, so that's why I'm giving you guys that color paper so you can go ahead and do that. And for those of you guys who are on Zoom, go ahead and pick 5 as well and practice with that.